A profound shift is underway in the international order. The world is witnessing a transformation that few could have predicted just a decade ago, as new alliances form and old certainties begin to crumble. On September 1, 2025, the strategic alliance between India, China, and Russia signals a new era in global politics. This historic partnership is not just a headline, it's a turning point that will shape the future of nations and the balance of power for years to come. This is more than a diplomatic agreement, it's a declaration that Western dominance is ending, and a multipolar world is emerging. The global spotlight is shifting from the traditional power centers of the West to the dynamic, rapidly growing East. For centuries, these nations were rivals, often finding themselves on opposite sides of conflicts and negotiations. But now, they unite to challenge a world order dictated by the West, setting aside old disputes in pursuit of a shared vision for the future. Russia brings resources and military power, offering vast reserves of energy, minerals, and a formidable defense capability that underpins the alliance's strength. China offers manufacturing and technology, leveraging its position as the world's factory, and a leader in innovation, artificial intelligence, and infrastructure development. And India adds demographic and economic strength with a booming population, a vibrant democracy, and a rapidly expanding economy that promises growth for decades ahead. Together, they represent nearly a third of humanity and a major share of global GDP. Their combined influence is reshaping trade, technology, and even cultural trends across continents. This pragmatic alliance is rooted in each nation's desire for autonomy and influence. It's a partnership built on mutual respect, shared interests, and a common goal to redefine their roles on the world stage. Russia seeks relief from Western sanctions, aiming to secure its economy and assert its sovereignty in the face of external pressures. China wants to counter US pressure, striving to protect its economic interests and expand its global reach in technology, trade, and diplomacy. And India aims to protect its independence, ensuring its voice is heard and its interests safeguarded in a rapidly changing world. Their union shakes the foundations of global institutions long dominated by the West. The rules of the game are being rewritten, and the centers of power are shifting. The world can no longer ignore the rise of Asia. This alliance is rewriting history. The future is being shaped not in Washington or Brussels, but in the bustling capitals of the East. Its authors, Moscow, Beijing, and New Delhi, are now at the helm of a new global chapter, steering the course of history together. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Samarkand marked the formal birth of this alliance. The Samarkand Declaration outlined a vision for economic, political, and military cooperation, challenging the Western-led order. Plans include an integrated Eurasian economic zone, new trade corridors, and digital infrastructure independent of Western systems. The goal: a self-sufficient economic ecosystem, resilient to sanctions and external pressure. Joint military exercises and intelligence sharing signal a new security architecture, independent of NATO. The bloc positions itself as a stabilizing force, offering an alternative to Western interventionism. The summit's imagery projected unity and mutual respect, contrasting with the divisions often seen among Western leaders. This was not just a meeting, but a global announcement. A new power has arrived. The SCO is now a formidable institution with a clear agenda. The world is watching the rise of a confident, coordinated East. India's embrace of the Eurasian alliance marks a historic foreign policy pivot, signaling a new era in its international relations. This move is not just a shift in alliances but a carefully considered strategy that reflects India's evolving priorities on the world stage. For decades, India walked a tightrope, balancing interests between the East and the West. However, mounting economic and political pressures, ranging from global trade tensions to shifting geopolitical landscapes, eventually made this balancing act unsustainable. Western partnerships, while beneficial in some respects, often came with strings attached. These conditions frequently clashed with India's core values, sovereignty, and long-term national priorities, leading to diplomatic friction and growing mistrust. Over time, frustration mounted as India faced persistent trade barriers and sluggish technology transfers from Western nations. These obstacles hindered India's ambitions for rapid modernization and economic self-reliance. In stark contrast, the Eurasian bloc presents a more pragmatic and mutually beneficial economic synergy. China's manufacturing prowess, Russia's vast energy resources, and India's dynamic market economy together create a powerful engine for growth and innovation. By aligning with Eurasia, India is making a strategic move to accelerate its economic growth, diversify its partnerships, and assert its independence in global affairs. This approach allows India to chart its own course, free from external pressures. Importantly, India rejects being pigeonholed as merely a democratic counterweight to China. Instead, it seeks recognition for its unique identity, values, and aspirations on the global stage, emphasizing its distinct path and vision. The new alliance is also a direct response to frequent Western criticism of India's internal affairs. By strengthening ties with Eurasian partners, India is sending a clear message that it will not tolerate external interference in its domestic matters. Security concerns have also played a significant role. India and China, once locked in tense border disputes, are now prioritizing economic cooperation, with Russia stepping in as a mediator to facilitate dialogue and reduce tensions. For India, this is a practical and forward-looking choice, one that aims to stabilize its borders, foster regional peace, and allow the nation to focus on development and prosperity for its people. Ultimately, this marks a clear and pragmatic break from the Western orbit, as India confidently pursues a foreign policy that aligns with its own interests and ambitions. The Asian century is no longer just a theory. This alliance is making it a reality before our eyes. The rise of Asia is not a distant prediction but a transformation unfolding right now, reshaping the very foundations of the global economy. The economic and political center of gravity is shifting decisively from the Atlantic world to the vast expanse of Eurasia. This shift is not only about numbers but about influence, innovation, and the power to set the global agenda. India, China, and Russia are now building parallel institutions to the Western-led order, such as the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. These new organizations are designed to serve their interests and those of the wider region, offering alternatives to traditional Western frameworks. This emerging bloc is poised to dominate key sectors. China is leading in technology and manufacturing, Russia in energy and natural resources, and India in digital services and innovation. Together, they form a powerful engine for growth. Their growing integration is creating a formidable bloc, capable of setting its own standards, controlling vital supply chains, and reducing dependence on Western systems. New trade corridors like the Belt and Road Initiative are being built at an unprecedented scale. These routes are reorienting global trade, shifting the flow of goods and capital away from traditional Western dominance and toward a more multipolar world. These new routes offer faster, more cost-effective alternatives, boosting intra-Asian trade and connecting emerging markets across continents. They are opening up opportunities for millions and linking the developing world like never before. But this alliance is more than just economic, it's a cultural revival. Ancient civilizations are reclaiming their place on the world stage, celebrating their heritage while shaping the future. They're not simply rejecting Western models, they're forging their own unique paths, blending tradition with innovation, and inspiring new ways of thinking about progress and prosperity. The Asian century has arrived, and the world's economic map is being redrawn in real time. The pace of change is accelerating, and the implications are global. The new table is set, and the invitation is global. The future of the world economy is being written in Asia, and everyone is being asked to take a seat. The alliance's most immediate impact is the push for de-dollarization. For decades, the US dollar's dominance gave America immense power, especially through sanctions. Now, India, China, and Russia are promoting their own currencies for trade, building a financial system insulated from US influence. Currency swaps and a new payment messaging system bypass SWIFT, creating a parallel financial infrastructure. The aim to sanction-proof their economies and offer alternatives to other nations wary of Western pressure. This move resonates across the developing world, challenging the dollar's exorbitant privilege. The US faces higher borrowing costs and diminished financial leverage as global demand for dollars wanes. The process won't be instant, but the erosion of dollar dominance has begun. Eurasia is now at the heart of a new financial order. The India-China-Russia alliance has rattled Western capitals. Years of trying to contain or integrate these powers have failed. The West is now reacting, not leading. Overuse of sanctions has backfired, pushing rivals to build alternatives and weakening Western tools. The belief in the universal appeal of liberal democracy is challenged by the rise of alternative models delivering growth and stability. Western nations now debate whether to confront or accommodate the new bloc, creating policy paralysis. The West's unity is under strain, and its share of global power is shrinking. The challenge is to adapt to a multipolar world, not cling to past dominance. How Western leaders respond will shape whether the future is one of cooperation or conflict. The world is watching as the balance of power shifts. The Eurasian alliance leaves the Quad, US, Japan, Australia, and India, in crisis. India's pivot undermines the Quad's purpose as a counterweight to China, hollowing out the alliance. The US faces a major setback, forced to rethink its Asia strategy without India. Japan and Australia, now more dependent on the US, must decide whether to salvage the Quad or seek new arrangements. India's move pressures them to balance economic ties with China against security concerns. The Quad's relevance is fading, exposing the limits of alliances built solely on opposition. Middle powers now seek flexibility, not rigid blocks. The lesson: alliances need a positive vision, not just a common adversary. A new world order is emerging, defined by multiple centers of power. The Eurasian alliance is one pole, the US and its allies are another, with other regional powers rising. This landscape is more complex and unpredictable than ever before. Competition for influence, resources, and technology will intensify, but cooperation on global challenges is unavoidable. Institutions like the UN and IMF must adapt or risk irrelevance as the Eurasian bloc pushes for reform. If blocked, parallel structures will fragment global governance. Countries outside the major blocs face both risks and opportunities, able to leverage competition for their own benefit. Diplomacy will be about navigating complexity, not choosing sides. Non-alignment returns, but in a higher stakes form. The New World Order is here, and it's messy. The rules are being rewritten in real time. The India-China-Russia alliance marks an irreversible shift in global power. The unipolar, Western-dominated world is over. A post-Western multipolar era has begun. The challenge for the West is to adapt, not resist, this new reality. Leadership now means building coalitions, not dictating terms. Economic competitiveness and innovation will matter more than military might. The US-Eurasian rivalry will define the coming decades, but it need not become a new Cold War. India, China, and Russia seek reform, not destruction, of the world order. The world awaits the West's response: resist and risk instability, or adapt and help build a balanced global system. The answer will shape our collective future.